I will speak first in English and then I'll say it in Bengali, for a lot of people here can understand English. My father got beaten up outside the mosque by 6 youths. Motive not robbery, just racism. They've thrown bottles through windows. They've painted hearses. They've jeered at us as we're burying our dead. They're doing a lot of things.
A protest meeting in the East End of London. The subject, the disturbing incidents of attacks on the Pakistani immigrants.
Beaten-ups and attacks on innocent black people. You have a number of speakers, victims of the violence.
For centuries, the East End of London has been a sanctuary for foreign immigrants. Now the latest newcomers, some 5,000 Pakistanis, are complaining of its violence. They say attacks by white youths are frightening their people off the streets. Gulim Ali's father is minister of the Pakistani mosque in Tower Hamlets.
What happened to your father, the minister?
Well, on a Saturday night at about 7 o'clock, he was shutting the door of the shop here, and 6 youths come from behind, tapped him on the shoulder. As he turned round, hit him over the head with an umbrella rolly stick, rolled him on the ground, kicked him, punched him, cut all his head open, and he had to be taken to hospital. They phoned the police from upstairs, and the police are about 20 seconds away, just across over there, Harbour Square. They'd come about 5 minutes later when there was nobody around after that, you know. And that was it. We haven't heard much more since.
I've been going around taking in reports about people who have had violence, been beaten up, and had windows smashed, and other things. And I find amongst the Bengali people that they are like children. Our friend who spoke to me, the injuries he suffered was given to him by an 8-year-old boy. An 8-year-old boy.
So there's about 5 skinheads and there's about 12 peckies. They say, come, check, I reckon we can take these lot. And they just run up behind them, just smack them on the back of their suit, and that's how it starts. And they go around, get 5 more Pakistanis and do the same thing. So gradually the group of skinheads gets up bigger and bigger, and they go around and take in bigger groups of Pakistanis.
They get on your nerves everywhere they are. It's like mice crawling everywhere. I've got a lot of them in my flats, like, don't want to know.
And where do they learn? They live next door to you, in Shiva Street, in Hunton Court. Little kids, their mothers and fathers, they're like you, they're suppressed by the society today. They're poor people, they might be 13, 12 people to a family in 2 rooms. But their father says, a wog's a wog, a black man's a black man, they're bloody no good, they're filthy, they're dirty, they take my jobs, they take our houses. And the little kids hear this and say, there's a Paki, I'm going to hit him. And they hit you and you don't do nothing about it. And we go to the police and they don't do nothing about it. So all I can say to people who have had violence, you brought it on yourself. You're not protecting yourself, and you should protect yourself.
They go out to their mates and say, I went petty king tonight, and we beat a load of peckies, nicked their wallets and all the rest of it. So, yeah, what I do it for is just to be big-headed, like, you know.
If you was walking along and your mate say, I dare you to go up and smack that one in the back of the head. Well, you've got to do it, otherwise you're going to be called a bottle job or something like that.
That day there were about at least 60-70 boys standing on the footpath. I heard them shouting, let's get him. They ran across the road. Suddenly in the back they hit me with something on this here. So straight away I went round. So as I take my hand from my pockets and to see what had happened, so as I moved, straight away a kick or something, I can't remember what, came, and so I really was blind. I couldn't see nothing. Then I could remember that the boys got in a circle. They starting with kicking with me with boots and so. That I was bleeding very badly, and there was I remember that much, that there was the zebra crossing pole. They took my head and hit it right. That my head was like this. I couldn't see them. I couldn't recognize these, who they were or nothing. I shouted, help, help, help. So suddenly there was a white car, a very big white car, like a street car. I opened the door and I said, please help me. He said, fuck off. He pushed me, put my hand and said, fuck off. Then again I ran to work to get some help. Nobody helped me at that time. There was a taxi came. One taxi gone at that time, another taxi open. They said, what's wrong with you? You got some sort of mess? I said, no, look, please take me to my home or hospital. They said, you're bleeding at so much, my seat will get dirty.
The attack on Javed Iqbal was classified as a serious case of bodily harm. The attackers were never caught.
This old gentleman here, who's over 60, he was beaten up and his dentures were broken and he was left lying bleeding in the gutter.
The police investigated but haven't made an arrest.
Now, this is number 40 and it's on the corner of Hunt and Court.
Pakistanis complain that in some streets, like Hunt and Court in Spitalfields, their people live in a state of near siege.
Many Pakistanis live here and the kids call it Little Pakistan. We're coming to number 3 here. A man was threatened with a knife, October, kicked and punched and taken to hospital.
The man went to the police but no arrest was made.
Number 4 here, a man was beaten up 1 month ago, and again 2 months earlier to that, he was attacked and money taken from him.
The week we filmed, another man at number 4 was assaulted. Both incidents were reported, but there have been no arrests.
We're coming now on to number 7, which is on our right-hand side here. A man here was beaten up a few months ago, but he had all his money in a secret pocket.
The man spent several days in London hospital, but no arrests were made.
Number 8, a man was returning from the public baths when some boys set Alsatian on him. He's gone back to Pakistan.
This incident, like many, was not reported to the police.
A Pakistani here in number 9, as he was returning from his work in the Savoy Hotel at about 11:30, he was beaten up and £50 stolen. Another man in this house at 7 o'clock in the morning was beaten up and 7 stitches put in his mouth.
The first incident was reported to the police, but no arrest has been made.
So, this street, Huntington Court, as you can see, eight incidents in a matter of 3 to 4 months, which is bad.
Guli Mali's reports on Hunt and Court confirmed the findings of our own researchers. A survey in the small area of Spitalfields produced 33 separate complaints of assaults on Pakistanis by white youths. Local police have a special community liaison officer to deal with immigrant problems, Chief Inspector Roberts. We asked him first about Hunt and Court.
I don't think there's a record of many attacks in Hunt and Court itself. They are, in fact, from Hunt and Court, which is slightly different, I think. Again, they are receiving the attention of normal policing methods together with the additional special patrols that have always been in existence.
We showed Chief Inspector Roberts our file of 33 alleged assaults. 19 of these were reported to the police, but they've been unable to make any arrests. At their protest meeting, the Pakistanis talked of self-defense and complained of police indifference.
If there have been no arrests in those cases which have been reported to police, let me assure you it is not because it has not been thoroughly investigated, but rather because the information has been insufficient to enable us to do what we would want to do. In other words, arrest the culprits.
Had there been previous incidents, damage and things?
Oh yes, window smash. Up here, there's railings here to stop bricks going through. We've had to board up the shop. As you can see, window smashed up there. We're getting it fairly often.
Do you consider the police investigation of the attack on your father satisfactory?
No, definitely not.
Well, with respect to the assault on Mr. Ali, now, I have had the opportunity of looking at the original report relating to this, and he was assaulted by 5 youths, aged 17 years, and there was very little other description. Again, the difficulty from our point of view of identifying his assailants were because of a poor description. There was an age and a description perhaps that would have fitted practically every other youngster in the borough of Tower Hamlets. There was some suggestion that these youngsters came from nearby. We did make inquiries at the time. We made very close inquiries of well-known people in the district, but to have no avail.
But are you aware that the Pakistani community in this borough complain that they've lost confidence in the police?
You have in fact made me aware of this, and I am aware from my conversations with a number of Pakistanis that they have lost confidence in the police. But I don't believe that this is so for the majority of them. In fact, I have a letter here addressed to police on behalf of Pakistanis, thanking them for their assistance in what they termed and what we would term as well very difficult situations. I can well appreciate the apprehension that the Pakistanis have. If, for example, the youngsters decided not to do Paki bashing but to do Baldy bashing, I myself would be extremely apprehensive. But again, this is a passing phase, you know. You see, this is something which will eventually die out. If, for example, if I may prove this point, if, for example, we could bring a lot of little green men in, like gnomes, then we would have gnome bashing.
Why do you think the Pakistanis are singled out for this?
Well, I suppose one has to come to the, one has to agree here, probably because their skin is darker than ours. But again, there's no racialism in Tower Hamlets. This is schoolboy hooliganism of a perverse kind.
But is it not possible that this will lead to a racial problem?
Now, this is a different matter altogether. Now, we recognize the problem in Tower Hamlets, but we believe that we're containing it. But I feel confident enough to be able to say to you, if you come back in 2 months' time, you won't find the situation worse than it is today.
It is only a matter of time before the population becomes entirely foreign. The rates are burdened with the education of thousands of children of foreign parents. The working classes know that new buildings are erected not for them but for strangers from abroad. They see notices that no English need apply, placarded on vacant rooms. A storm is brewing which, if it be allowed to burst, will have deplorable results.
Major William Evans Gordon, Conservative MP for Stepney, the year 1902.
The target, the Jews.
A lot of people are afraid, or were afraid, of the word Jew. They didn't know about us, therefore curiosity breeds hate. You can boil this down. If you only put out your hand for the hand of friendship.
The Jews came to the East End at the turn of the century, but since the war, most of them have left. Most synagogues and kosher shops have closed. A leader of the Jewish community, Monty Richardson.
This is Hessel Street, which was a very Jewish market once upon a time. Lots of Jewish kosher butcher shops, and probably one of the streets that illustrates the change in the East End more than most others, because now, although there are still a few kosher butcher shops remaining, but very many of them are Muslim butcher shops, where meat for many Pakistani residents is now provided. Also today, many of the Pakistani immigrants have entered the clothing trade, which, as everyone knows, was traditionally a Jewish trade.
A Jewish club for the over 60s. Many of the people in this room were born in Eastern Europe.
A long time ago, when Whitechapel was almost a totally Jewish community, was it pretty tough then?
Oh, there was one house and about 10 rooms in this house, and in every room was a family.
Most of your people came from overseas. Was the trouble with the language making everybody...
Yes, it was very difficult, very difficult indeed.
Recently there have been some disturbances and attacks on the Muslim mosque. Can you remember any similar instances in the Jewish community?
Years ago, this happened at Bethnal Green. Some hooligans tried to disrupt the service through various things, you know, to disrupt it. But, of course, there were some of the younger boys of the Jewish faith, naturally, took it up.
If a Jewish man was seen walking about, they used to have the side whiskers, which have come into fashion now, and a beard. Well, these toughs used to get hold of them. Sometimes they did pull the beards out, and they used to give them a good beating.
It's like the Jews, when the Jews first come over here, they're getting the same as what the Pakistanis getting today. They talk different, that kosher gear, like the Pakis, they talk different, and they eat curry, it stinks. And the people, like the ordinary people who are born in Britain, they don't like it, you know. And it's handed down. Well, I think it's handed down. Like the parents say, the black bloke over there, and their kid's going to say the same thing. When they go to school, they see a coloured kid there, they're going to say the same thing. So I think it's handed down from the parents, like.
Tell me about the fire. What happened?
Some boy came and put fire in here.
Through the letterbox?
Yeah.
What kind of fire?
With the pepper.
Lighted paper?
Yeah.
So then what happened?
Then I saw the pepper and come down and take out, and I put my leg on it, and the fire is gone.
Whereabouts do they throw stones from?
Pardon?
Where do the boys throw stones from?
From roof, sometimes here.
From that high roof up there?
Yes. If we threw from high roof, they threw this window and that one.
And my friend said she was walking down to the sweet shop, right, and this taxi knocked her over. She fell on the ice, and she started to run after, and she bottled the man, and then he scarpered, and we both went up and kicked him one.
What do you mean, bottled the man?
We got hold of a bottle and smashed it on his head.
Well, there was Pakistan walking down Brick Lane, and he brought out a bunch of keys. And he brought out a tribe of Pakistans. So we had to do a lot of them up.
What happened?
So we got our mates, they're gone to work now. So we went round there and we done them all up.
What do you mean you done them up?
You know, not with bottles or nothing like that.
Just
but
fists. What kind of things did you do to them?
Kick them around and line it.
Did you make them
Get him
bleed?
on the floor, kick him in the
Some
head.
of them, you know. Some of them mind their own business, just walk away.
Do you like Pakistani?
No, I don't.
Over the years, the frustration of slum life has made scapegoats of the French Huguenots, the Jews, the Irish, the Maltese and the West Indians. Now it's the turn of the Pakistanis.
I think the Pakistani is about the only nation that brings the killer instinct out in white people.
Mr. and Mrs. Burns live with their 10 children in a block of flats nearly 70 years old. Mr. Burns works in a warehouse for £17.10 a week and doesn't like Pakistanis. The Burns family has lived here for 20 years.
Well, the flats are, well, they're all under compulsory purchase order, so they're all supposed to, you know, be pulled down and we'll probably be rehoused. Well, we've been on the council list for years. Oh, we haven't even got a bathroom. No, there's no bathrooms. Well, I have to bath the children in a tin bath in front of the fire, and this is 1970. And I have 10 children.
Ambition, I think it's a bit late for that now. Some years ago, we was going to emigrate. I said I'd go anywhere, do any unskilled job because I had no trade. But that dragged on and on and on. My contribution to the country is all these kids. Maybe one of them might make up for what I missed.
The Burns' oldest boy is Danny. He wants to emigrate to Germany.
The biggest percentage were Jewish. As the years went on, so they gradually moved out. Maybe they become a little bit more prosperous, I don't know. But yeah, a lot of Irish people come in. Also a lot of Scots people. And as they was moving out and moving in, so you had the Greeks, Maltese, Cypriots, a lot, you know, until they've come down to the Indians and that sort of thing. You're talking about 20 years ago. If you see one or two coloured men, it was almost a novelty, you know, and people might even go out their way to talk to them because they're so seldom seen. But now, it's a totally different thing entirely. Well, you see them walking about in 4s and 5s, or I don't know what sort of a job they can have if they can walk around in 4s and 5s. But,
during the daytime?
During the day. Unless, of course, they're doing the night shift and the other mob's doing the night shift, you know. I mean, in the same house sort of thing. But I do believe there are a few working in the tailoring and all that. Of course, that's one of the main you know, trades in this area.
Do you reckon they are taking away the possibility of work in the area from people who have always lived here?
Of course they are. Well, I should think they are. I mean, after all, it's a matter of common sense, really. I mean, if they weren't here, then someone else would be doing their job.
The employers we questioned in the East End didn't agree. One of the main industries is the clothing trade.
No, it's not true. They don't take the labourer's job. Cannot be true because we're short of labour.
Look, there's plenty of work in this area.
There's plenty of work in the trade and we need a staff fairly.
So is it true to say that the trade will not survive without, say...
Well, I don't think so because there's such a shortage of labour today and we could do with many more Pakistani labour so as to be able to cope with our orders and to turn the work out.
One other accusation is that the Pakistani would undercut for his job. Now, is this true?
No, it's not true. They take the same, or demand the same wages as any other white person.
In the furniture trade, traditionally another large industry in Spitalfields, we found Pakistani workers were filling jobs which most white workers were not interested in. We checked lastly with the Labour Exchange, and they confirmed that there was plenty of work in the area. The careers officer for the borough of Tower Hamlets is Edward Chatfield.
In this area, I think we can say there's masses of work of all types, very wide variety, from very low-level manual work right up to professional level. At the present moment, for instance, we've only got perhaps 20 boys and girls in the whole area unemployed.
We asked if young immigrants often lived on national assistance.
At the present moment, we have nobody drawing unemployment benefit or supplementary benefit. And the most we've had this year, I think, is perhaps 2 people at a time. You see very, very few Pakistanis, Indians, West Indians, or what have you here.
The only thing...
I mean, the same thing applies also to houses.
That's what I mean.
And also to the unemployed. Everything must obviously go down. I mean, it stands to common sense. If 100 of them went away, then 100 of them must go back into work or something like that.
What do you mean about the housing?
You look at new council buildings, well, 25 to 30% are coloured people, but still the old English people are living in slums like these.
This is not true. From local authority sources, we estimated that a maximum of 2% of all council houses, only 1 in 50, is occupied by a Pakistani family. 5 out of every 6 Pakistanis here live as single men in slum streets like these. Such single men will rarely get council houses. Nevertheless, the Pakistanis get the blame.
As I said, I've seen a lot of people of different races, but I could never like a Pakistan. Never. Because there's something just about them that I dislike. I can't explain it. Maybe a psychiatrist could explain it, but I just don't like them. You know, Desmond Morris wrote the zoo, the animal. Well, it's probably our animal instinct that makes us, as people, really dislike Pakistani. I hate them. I couldn't like them. I couldn't mix with them. I could with West Indians and Africans. I could sit there and have a cup of tea and a meal. But something about a Pakistani makes my blood just crawl.
East End youngsters often inherit the frustrations of their parents. A couple of Danny's mates admit to occasional scuffles with Pakistanis. But the background of Danny's group is significant. They come from Jewish, Polish, Cypriot, Irish and West Indian families, and remarkably, one is a first-generation Pakistani himself.
Oh, I was down Brick Lane, right? And this Pakistani was a young kid. There was 2 of us, me and my mate. We were standing on the corner, and he came out the Nez, round the corner, right? And he kept always looking at us, you know what I mean? Just staring all the time, just looking like that. Like, it's not as if he's scared looking like that, but giving us a right dirty look. So then my mate, like an idiot he was, he said to me, well, I suppose I was the same. He said, let's go and roll him. So I thought, well, I'd done this before, see what it's like. So he followed him up, and just by the youth club, just gone past us, a load of brickwork. We jumped on him now, right, beating him and that, and then he said, we ain't gonna do this for nothing, just because he gives us a dirty look. Might as well say something.
Road sweeper. Court race in London.
Labourer.
Packer.
Insurance.
Under pressure.
Labour. You go for a job there, they say, where'd you come from? Stepney. So they'll pass that off lightly, that's not too bad. Where do you live? Stepney, and that's a different matter when you say you live there. And they say, well, we've heard all about that area. It's bad and all that. I think it's all the same, but, you know, try up the road.
When they built them flats, what the architect must have done is, he must have done it right, and then he went up to a wall, he got a hammer, banged a hole in it and said, there's your kitchen. Yeah. You see the size of our kitchen, it ain't a kitchen, it's a hole in a wall.
Then in came the Greeks and the Turks. They've integrated. At first I was fighting them up the street. Anything about them I didn't like. Now the Pakistanis have come in. The only thing about the Pakistanis, it might just take that little bit longer, and then they'll gradually move out. Another race will come in, might be the Chinese this time. We hate those Chinese. Get them out of the area.
How do you get on with the West Indians, Anton?
The West Indians? Great, as if they were English. Nothing at all, you know, you don't say, I was with Lamina, he's a colour bloke. You don't say anything like that. You just say, I was with Lamina, yeah, as if he was an Englishman, because there's so many things, they're just like other English blokes. You can talk to them, you look at the way they dress, there's things about them you can learn.
Why do the young kind of white toughs never ever go at the West Indians?
Because they get a right tasty beating. Because a JA, if you like Jamaican geezer, say like a gang of white geezers standing over there, and there's a gang of Pakis there and a gang of Jamaican boys there. The white boy's going to pick on the Pakistanis because they know that the Jamaican boy, he's going to fight back, and that's why they pick on the Pakistanis, because they're the weakest race.
And another thing, like, why they get alright with the Jamaicans, is because they like the music. It's that reggae, you mean? That is pure Jamaican music, you mean?
Come on, baby, light my fire. You're the one to give me my desire. Come on, baby, turn your lights out. Without you, I surely can't go on, go on.
It's a black man's music, reggae. And Pakistan's a black man, ain't he? Because it's like their commandment. Thou shalt pick on Pakis, and thou shalt like reggae. So and they go to these clubs with reggae, and where reggae is, the majority of people there are Jamaicans. That's how they get on with them.
Say we're walking down the road with my mates, right?
Yeah.
And you see a coloured geezer over there, and I turn around that geezer and say, look at that black bastard over there. And I turn around to them and I say, yeah. I say, I'm black. No, not you, Pete. Because we've known them all this time, they think that we're white.
It was West Indians. Then when Pakistanis come over, it's Pakistanis. So something like Chinese would be over next and all start on them, wouldn't they?
That's what they've done all wrong. See, they've kneeled down to us.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have done. That's why we take liberties with them.
Yeah. There's a Pakistani who used to be in my school, in my class.
He was a great
Crotch
skinhead anyway. He was a skinhead.
Jeans.
He was trying to be like you.
Yeah. Well, some of them want to mix, but the English people don't want to mix with them.
The curry, after Yorkshire pud and all that, is the second favourite dish in England.
If she was a Jewish coloured girl, and I liked her enough, I wouldn't say no.
It's only the really clothes, eating and manners that's different, I think.